What's going on, YouTube? You're back with Shades, and we're continuing our Let's Play of Katawa Shoujo. Last time we left off, we got hit with the biggest news ever. Lily might be leaving for Iverness, Scotland. Scary thought, huh? And I did it a perfect cliffhanger last time, and I'm super proud of that. So anyway, now we are continuing where the game left off. Hurry, Lily! I'm moving as fast as I can. I can barely make out Lily's voice over the deafening pound of the rain, even though I dislike pulling her around, the situation calls for it. I turn forward, my free hand over my head in a futile attempt to keep at least my hair dry. My vision seems to be in grayscale. This really is rotten weather for summer. At least my kind of climate I'd want for a date. A pity, I even checked the weather forecast beforehand, one of the very few times I'd ever done so, only for it to say the sunny afternoon would be fine. And looking at Lily, her shoulders are by now completely drenched, with her right hand holding tightly to mine, her left gripping her retracted cane. This horrid downpour came on just when we were between our destination and Yamaku, so we decided to try rushing the rest of the distance rather than doubling back. Entirely unused to running that fast, Lily's using all her concentration just to avoid tripping over. Hisao, do you know where we're going? Even she's reduced to shouting to try and be heard over the combined noises of the wind and rain. The rest of my voice is completely drowned out by an even heavier burst of rain. The what? The Shanghai! How far is it? It shouldn't be far now. The Shanghai! It doesn't take long before I call out to her once again. It looks like we're safe. It's just up ahead. I quickly pull up to a stop just in front of the familiar exterior, the lantern outside still giving off its reliable glow, and wait for Lily to catch her breath before going in. Ladies first. A tiny bell inside rings out when I hold the door open for her, a smile and a polite nod being my reward for entering myself. As I step in behind her and wipe my feet, only quick glance is necessary to notice the distinct lack of activity. The Shanghai doesn't seem to get much in the way of patronage, and today is no different. Only a couple of tables are occupied. Summoned by the bells ringing, a most expected person comes to greet us. Welcome to the Shanghai. I almost said Lily. Why is it that Lily is so hard to say? Yuko looks chipper today. Trying to predict her moods is pretty hard, but it's a nice change from the norm. Hello, Yuko. Hey. Good afternoon, you two. Is that her bowing? Cute. She takes a deep bow, somewhat taken aback as she rights herself again and gets a better look at us. What happened to you two? You both look... Her eyes drift toward the glass of the door behind us. Oh dear. We're inside now at least. I think that's what's the most important thing. It's nice and cozy. You're lucky to be working inside today. It has been nice and quiet. Excuse me. I like days like this. Oh wait, sorry. Is there anything you'd like? French vanilla tea, please. I'll have the same. Right, coming right up. She weakly skitters off with a determined look on her face, trying very hard not to forget our orders. If nothing else, she's at least dedicated to her jobs. I lead Lily to an empty seat before the two of us settle down. As usual, there's a large difference between my exhausted flopping down into my seat and Lily's delicate sliding into hers, her cane set beside her. For a while, I just idly watch the rain falling outside. The occasional person runs down the street, trying to stay as dry as possible, hands often tightly gripping a rain-soaked umbrella. Lily sits as quietly as I, her eyes closed as she intently listens to all that's happening. It's a comfortable, relaxing silence that exists between us, just the type that we'd so often shared together in the past months. For Lily, at least. I can't help replaying the words of her sister in my mind as the time comes constraining them to the both our... What? At times contrasting them to both our time spent together. Oops, crap! Oh god. Sorry guys, this is a bit of a hiccup. both our time spent since I entered Yamaku, and to the way we've been since we started dating. No matter how much I try, I can't work Lily out. It's as if the harder I try to second guess her emotions and her potential decision, the more difficult it becomes to reach a clear conclusion. It makes me doubt whether I'd ever really understood her. In the end, I'm going to have to ask, even though I much very want to avoid doing so. You seem quiet today, Hisao. Really? You seem so enthusiastic about taking me out on a date. I assumed you had something specific you wanted to do. No, not really. Just wanted to spend some more time with you. Is that so? Fine. There was one thing. A little grin finds its way into Lily's face, her knowing full well that she's bested me. It makes me say all the more awkward. Makes what? Oh, I was just Akira and I were talking. Oh, I'm cheating on you with Akira. Oh God, I'm sorry. What's with that tone? You two do seem to get on well, don't you? Well, I do think she's a pretty cool person to talk with. It'd be nice if any of the teachers were anything like her. Cool. For a moment, I tried to place her tone of voice, my mouth curling into a smirk as I realized it. You're not jealous, are you? I'm not jealous. Oh, she's so cute, the pouty pouts. Personally, if I had like a girlfriend that would like pout like that, I'd probably pinch her cheek a little bit. Personally, I don't know. Hello, testing. Checking my waveform. Sorry, I can never tell how strong my voice is on this thing. Uh, by the way, this is actually how I normally talk. I don't normally talk in loud tones. After her teasing me over such a thing on our first date, I don't feel too bad having a little laugh at her expense this time around. As you settle down, though, it's only a minor distraction from the real point of why I brought Lily here. Don't worry, it was mostly just everyday stuff. That said, there was something Akira mentioned that I wanted to talk to you about. When you went to see your family in Iverness a while back, she said, Akira told you about my family's summons, hasn't she? Seconds tick by while I try to read Lily's face, an odd mixture of feelings written on it. She seems annoyed, but also somewhat offended. Here's where it happens! Here. Yuko tentatively slides our drinks onto the table, her presence oddly small. As she walks back to the counter after a quick, polite nod, I realize the air between me and Lily is thick, and our expressions are both somewhat pensive. Even though she says I should lead my own life, she still interferes at the worst times. I don't think you should blame Akira here, she's just looking out for you, and it's not like I can't understand her concern over this. Lily's irritation gives way to an awkward and largely unsuccessful attempt to mask her feelings. She really doesn't deal well with being cornered on personal topics. I know, but I just wanted some more time. I knew you'd have figured it out eventually, but... You were intentionally hiding this from me? For how long were you planning on doing so? As I said, I simply wanted more time to think it through. I wanted to be sure of my decision before telling you. What did you decide to do in the end? I know what I want her to stay, but an awful feeling refuses to leave my gut. My family does dearly want me to return to them, and Akira will be going as well. I could still teach us a career, whether it be here or there. So, you're going? How long have you known? I already know you were asked when you first went to Scotland about a month ago. Some time? My frustration nearly boils over. The fact that she's done this affects me more than it should. For her not only to be leaving, but to have been actively hiding her own plans from me. And after seeming for so long to be the one solid pillar of support and reliability I could depend on. It feels as if the foundation underneath me is suddenly shifting drastically, much faster than I can adapt to. Perhaps this isn't so much for frustration as sheer unease. Lily. I'm sorry. I wanted to think this through completely. I wasn't trying to take advantage of you, please. I know, Lily, I know. This is just really sudden. At least he's not angry. At least he's not angry. Because personally, for me, if my girlfriend suddenly told me like, "Oh, I'm going to go to a country halfway across the world," and I didn't tell you, and this was my decision a long time ago. Personally, I have no idea how I'd react. More than likely, I would probably be somewhat angry, but me, I'm kind of like Hisao in that, like, I try to keep my emotional responses very subdued, because I don't like giving into my emotions. I'm kind of like a Jedi from Star Wars. Emotion leads to the dark side, and I personally don't think that emotion is something that is bad to feel, but when you lose yourself to it and you don't let your logic have some control over yourself. It's nice to act on emotion, but it's not a good idea to let your emotion completely dictate your actions. I guess this means that once you go, we'll be breaking up. For one of the few times I've seen since I met her, she's genuinely lost for words. She doesn't look surprised, no doubt because of the fact that had dawned on her since she became sure of her decision, but rather she appears genuinely unsure of how to deal with the situation now that it's in front of her. We could try pursuing a long-distance relationship. They're getting more and more common these days, after all. It's very true that you could pursue a long-distance relationship. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just harder than having that person right next to you. Even as she says it, the tone of her voice gives way. She doesn't truly believe what she's saying. Lily is far too old-fashioned to be able to cope with a relationship without any kind of physical presence. Even I am, to an extent. All we could ever be to each other would be a voice from the other side of the world. This is very true. With Lily's character, most of her affection is expressed through physical contact. She can't see Hisao, and even just hearing his voice is not enough. She has to feel his presence. She has to use all of her senses just to fully absorb his identity as a person. In the end, trying to rationalize everything is futile. Any attempts to try and connect what's happening with the future or past just seem to get more difficult the more I concentrate. Those quiet moments when we just walk side by side, the precious time we spent with Hanako and Akira, the casual chatter we had during lunchtimes, the times we made love, the confessions of our feelings to each other. All pointless, all just a fleeting moment in our young lives. We're just two children pretending to be adults, aren't we? A long, long silence hangs in the air between us. The noise of the other patrons drinking and talking only makes the situation feel more strange and disconnected. Lily's face remains low, her dejected expression clouding it. I'm sorry, Hisao. A simple apology, and no more. She's left entirely without any further response or comment. With a long sigh, I gather what's left of my thoughts and ask the final question I have for her. When will you be going? I'll be leaving with Akira, so it'll be a little less than a week. The beginning of summer holidays? Just a little afterward, yes. Her tone is unusually low and steady, her apologetic and depressed mood all the more written on her face as she tries to hide it in her voice. In the end, I can't even keep my promise of going to Tanabata with her before she leaves. I look down, seeing my face reflected in the by now lukewarm cup of neglected tea sitting in front of me. I really thought I'd left this kind of expression behind. For a while I just stared down into the still surface, trying to sort through my emotions to get at what course of action I should take, whether it be right now or in the future. But just as before, the effort is wasted. I glance up to see Lily gently sipping her cool tea without complaint, her face drawn and shoulders slumped. She looks to be deep in thought too, a strangely cold atmosphere coming between us as we isolate ourselves to mull things over. Even as Lily's cup slowly empties, mine remains untouched. It's a long time before I notice the rain dying down outside and a few other patrons of the Shanghai having left. The chill of the rapidly darkening evening permeates the dormitory hallways. While trudging down the corridor to my room, I see an unwelcome movement from up ahead. Fuck you! Go away! Sure enough, the opening of the door opposite mine heralds the arrival of a bespectacled Kenji. Hey man, what's... Whoa dude, you look awful, I think. You okay? He really has a knack for making any situation better. Really? I don't really want to go into it. It's late. Okay, that's cool. If you ever want to talk about it, I'm, here. I look at him for a moment before surrounding my stern front, unawkwardly scratching my back of my neck, embarrassed by my standoffish response to him. Thanks, Kenji. Hey, it's cool. That's what friends are for, right? Yeah, you're right. See ya. Wow. I didn't hate Kenji in that moment. He was genuinely nice. But I feel like if we actually took him on his offer to talk about it, he would find a way to make it annoying. Anyway, moving on. I open the door to my dorm room and close it behind me as he quickly waves me off. The solid thud of the door makes against the door frame sounds like a final call for the life I've led since coming to Yamaku. I just stand in my darkened room, fruitlessly attempting to work out what I should do from this point onwards. Just what should I do? It happened. The sad happened. It happened. Whew. Wow. What now? As class ends, I simply rest my head on my hand and stare out of the window to pass the time. It's been a few days since Lily told me her plans. I haven't made to our ordinary lunchtime haunt since then. Not that there would be much point. Hanako's been busy with the newspaper club since she's newly joined, and has even begun talking in class with Naomi every now and then. Even Lily, aside from the fact that a meeting between us would be awkward in any case, has been run off her feet with class representative duties as the summer holidays approach. And now they're just about here. With the end of today's bell, the summer holiday will have begun. I suppose that all I'll end up doing will be visiting my parents for the duration and lazing about my old home, now that my previous plans are entirely askew. Meanwhile, Akira and Lily will be en route to Scotland to live out the rest of their lives there. No matter how hard I try to rationalize the idea that once summer holidays begin, my life will return the way it was, simply refuses to happen. Everyone's moving on with their lives. Lily's rejoining her family, Akira's moving up in her father's business, Hanako's getting new friends and hobbies, and even Yuko's moving ahead with her university aspirations. Even I'm moving forward in the end. With the grades I've gotten so far in Yamaku, much less after the rocky beginning, the path to getting into teaching science as a career seems straightforward. I suppose I should at least be happy about that much, but it doesn't really seem to help. Hee-chan! I quickly stopped ruminating and turned my face to face the bubbly voice beside me, putting the most upbeat expression I can muster. As expected, Shizune stands flanking her. I have a sneaking suspicion they want something from me. Hey Misha, Shizune, what's up? Well, Shichan and I were thinking, since we're just two poor little girls that need help with all the work we've been given just before the holiday begin, sure I can help. But Hee-chan, we really need... What? I think I broke... I think I broke Misha. Let me rewind that. But Hee-chan really need... What? That's funny. Oh, that was funny. I think I broke Misha. Even Shizune raises an eyebrow at her accomplice's shuddering stop in her tracks. So you'll help us, Hee-chan? I just said I would, didn't I? It's hardly like I have anything better to do. Maybe helping them with their work will help take my mind off the situation. Misha seems genuinely ecstatic with my response, but Shizune's expression is clouded and difficult to read. I find myself quickly averting my eyes from her own, as it almost looks like her face of pity. No doubt, it must be my imagination. Ah, the student council room. This is hardly the first time I've been in the student council room. Indeed, I found myself down here often, either to help Lily with class rep work or to sort out one thing or another with the student council itself. Now, though, it's quite a different place. Papers and folders are strewn across every table in the room, only a solitary little black laptop atop a single desk sticking out from the mess. It looks positively ancient, and I guess it's been valiantly serving its task at archiving information for years and years. So, what needs doing? This looks like a lot to do. Shizune's expression becomes determined as she signs. It's a worrying look. Everything, Hee-chan. My worry is well placed. Everything, you say. What's left on the desk is what needs to be done. It all needs to be digitally recorded, which is what the laptop's for. And I'm guessing that I'll be the one doing this. Shi-chan said she saw you with the computers in the library a few days ago, and that you seem to be really good with them. Good with computers, I could touch type, I guess, but it seems like an overestimation of my skills. I was just typing up homework. Wait, Shizune was watching me do that? One must know all their allies before they can know their enemies, of course. Wow, that's pretty wise. For once, it's not very hard to work out who said that. Nonetheless, it doesn't seem worth fighting over. Sitting at a computer doing some typing hardly seems onerous as far as tasks to help Shizune and Misha. Besides, it will help to take your mind off of things. Take my mind off of things? Take my mind off what things? Misha's face goes blank as she translates this for Shizune, though the latter's response is only a glance away toward the window after briefly signing. Misha's face quickly returns to a smile as she translates back. She's confused, I guess, but Shizune's harder to pin down. I was just thinking you may like to get your mind off of the exams, of course. Either way, we may as well get into it sooner rather than later. I'll go along with you. That's the spirit, Hee-chan. And that's the 5th spreadsheet compiled and saved. Time for the next month's. After a little bit of fussing around, we all managed to get a bit more organized. Shizune's been gathering up the loose sheets and thankfully sorting them into a neat pile next to me. Meanwhile, Misha's been handling the manual writing work. Her girly pink pen is leaving its unmistakable mark on paper after paper. It should be black ink. Pink is very illegible. Especially if it's like bright pink. Once I got myself into a rhythm, it really wasn't so bad. Shizune and Misha also seem to be in the swing of things, wordlessly communicating as they go about their business with fervor. I periodically glance at the sheet beside the laptop, apparently a list of student names and matching addresses as I dutifully enter the data written on it. I don't pay a lot of attention to what I'm typing in it until I reach about the midway down the page. Hakamichi, class 3-3. Huh, her family's in Saitama. Hakamichi? That's Misha. My idle curiosity ended abruptly as 3 light taps can be heard rapping on the door. Misha quickly skips over to check who it is, tapping on Chizune's shoulder on the way to pass to let her companion know what's happening. Ah, you're here! Who is it? With a slight pause to enter Shizune's data into the file along with the others, I look up to check who's at the door. Ah! It's the Bay! It's the Bay! Oh no! Lily. After giving a cursory nod to Misha in greeting, she perks her head up in her trademark manner. Is that Hisao? She's pretty damn good at working out my voice from the smallest of phrases nowadays. Yeah, it's me. Hey. The atmosphere feels slightly awkward as she bows. Neither of us knows quite how to intimate we should be. Intimate we should be. Neither of us knows how to quite how intimate we should be around each other, given she's leaving in just a matter of hours. This is the fact that, thankfully, neither that oblivious Misha nor the hardworking Shizune pick up on. So, you've got work to do as well? Unfortunately, I arrived as soon as I could, but my class held me up with a surprise farewell party, and I had to get changed. I glanced down the laptop's clock. It's pretty much the end of lunchtime, so I'm guessing Lily managed to wrangle the last period off as well. I take it Shizune is here as well? Of course! And I've been here during all of lunchtime as well. The last comment was really not needed. Shizune is baiting Lily into another argument. I can feel it. I'm sorry, I can't be as hardworking as you, Shizune. I'll endeavor to hire more lackeys to do my work in the future, I assure you. And Lily just took the bait, escalating things further. It's gonna happen again? Fight! Misha, but aren't you the one always outsourcing work to your classmates? The difference is that they choose to help, unlike your tyrannical grip on your own class. Tyranny works. Even if we did things differently, we still got the same results, right? This is school, not a police state. You have to remind me when you were appointed class monarch, I'm afraid. You have to seize power. It's not as good if it's just handed to you, but I guess you wouldn't really understand that, right? You'll also have to remind me when the monarchs were elected into their positions. Lily positively bristles at this. Shizune's two-hit combo forces her into defense. Yet for all your vaunted power, you cannot get one person to help you without forcing him. But Hisao volunteered! He's such a hard worker. He's doing this instead of meaningless socialization, right? Is that so, Hisao? This is bad. I've really ended up between a rock and a hard place. As much as they may pay me to do this, the truth has at least a chance of stopping this argument here and now. It's okay, Lily. They didn't harass me to come or anything. Lily gives me a disapproving grimace, slightly radiating her strong feelings of displeasure in my general direction. She can be quite scary when she wants to be, though thankfully this isn't often. Hee-chan, you make that sound like it's a regular occurrence. It isn't? In the end, it doesn't matter so long as everything getting done at the good pace. Let's just get this work over with so we can go home. Shizune snorts derisively and gets back to marking off the sheet in front of her, while Lily sighs and finds her way along the room with her hand following the filing cabinets lined along the wall. This would mark the only time I've managed to successfully defuse one of these situations, but the grudging ceasefire built around the mutual fear and respect makes this feel more like the Cold War than any real peace. I can't take all the credit though. Lily's leaving has surely affected Shizune to some extent, making her give up so easily. Moments before getting back to my work, I noticed Lily's reaching up to grab something from above a filing cabinet. I almost offered to help, but her height gives her ample ability to take it down safely. Once she sets the strangely shaped device on the desk beside me, I realize just what it is, a sort of... as she takes the green cover off and sits down. It's a typewriter. At first glance, it seems to be an old metallic blue typewriter, but it doesn't take me long to realize it's far from ordinary. It has far fewer keys than expected, and those that it has show no letter printing on it, only a shadow cast by the tiny braille dots on them give the hint to the thing's purpose. Blind typewriter? Oh, well, you're not far off. It's normally called a Perkins brailer, but it's simply basically a typewriter for the blind, yes. It presses braille into the page rather than text, which is why it has fewer keys. Huh, that's really neat. She gives a light-hearted grin at my curiosity over it. I have to admit that it appeals to my sense of novelty. Without further ado, we get back to our allotted tasks. The loud clinking of the mechanics in Lily's brailer and the tapping of the laptop's old weary keyboard quickly fill the room. It's a nice atmosphere, really. Everyone knows what they have to do, and Lily and I get to sit beside each other and exchange the odd word as we work away. Nostalgic, that's what it feels like. It's a pleasant but slightly stained with the knowledge that our time together is nearing its end. Excuse me, Misha? To properly address her, Misha bounces over from the filing cabinet as she's peering into. In spite of Lily's lack of sight, for a moment I think it's strange, but then realize it's exactly what I do. What's up? Could you ask Shizune where the attendance records for class 3-2 are? I think they've been moved. Okie dokie. And with that, she flutters off to Shizune, who's working at a table behind us. Lily's familiarity with the council room and the efficiency with which she works reminds me that she, Misha, and Shizune all used to work in the student council. Maybe this is a fitting end for her stay in Yamaku, working away just as she used to, surrounded by those she loves and at least liked. I look up, getting taken off guard by Shizune sorting through a drawer rather than Misha. Sure enough, she plucks out a manila folder, entirely blank save for the just barely visible bumps on its front, and holds it in front of Lily. Lily's hand flits over to check what it is, her fingers feeling out the dots of braille and confirming it's what she asked for. Thank you, Misha. No reply. No reply, that is, save for an odd grin. No smile on Shizune's face. Oh, that's sweet. A couple of seconds pass before Lily clicks that it isn't Misha behind her, but Shizune. Her momentary look of surprise is replaced by a slightly bashful smile. It's not that they hate each other, it's that something happened. Look at that, that's so sweet, it's almost sisterly. That's really sweet. For a few moments, the room is all but still and silent. Eventually, though, Shizune strides back to her workstation and Lily begins typing once again. It only lasted a handful of seconds in all, but it feels like years of communication were made up for in this one silent exchange. There, finished. I lean my head back and rub my eyes and try to work away their weariness. Staring at that small, rather poor screen has taken its toll. Excellent timing. The only thing left to do is file these away, and I'll have my workload finished as well. Good. I can pack up the braille and put away while you do that. Thank you, Hisao. Misha, are you and Shizune far from being done? I look around for the two as I replace the cover for the brailer, only to see them waiting at the door. I guess they must be waiting for us. With a minimum of wasted time, we file and pack up everything that remains and join them. Thanks for waiting, you two. We couldn't just take off without you, Hee-chan. You've been a great help. Shizune nods approvingly, pleased with my efforts. I guess that's the last class representative work done and over with then. That's right. I'll miss you, Lily. I think it was fun working with you. Thank you, Misha. It's been good working with you. And Shizune. Shizune thinks for a moment before formulating her response. It's not that she often communicates without thinking, quite the opposite, but this time it's even more considered than usual. Misha looks a little surprised before passing on the message. Shizune says you'd better do your work over there better than you did here. God damn it, Shizune! Far from taking offense, Lily giggles into her hand. If that's the case, then please tell Shizune to give those still here a little more understanding in the future. Agreed! Competitive until the last. Maybe Shizune and Lily aren't so different after all. Shi-chan says that she'll be checking to make sure you live up to your end of the promise. Then that's how it will be. I'd better be off then. Goodbye, Shizune. Goodbye, Misha. Hisao. Lily takes a hold of my arm in hers, there being no need for a cane if I'm here to guide her. With a nod of farewell to the two, we set off out the door and make our way to the school grounds. As I turn to wave goodbye to them, I notice Shizune's gaze lingering on Lily. They may annoy each other, but family bonds aren't easily broken. True, Dad! Got your papers all sorted? Yes, they've all been filed away and handled in. Whoa, I said that wrong. On top of things as always, aren't you? She gives an earnest smile at the compliment, but it feels as if her happiness is just veneer over the fact that she's fully aware of how much she's leaving behind. It reminds me of how she was like when I first met her, always smiling, always a little bit aloof, always at a little distance away from everybody. Even now, she still maintains that air around many others, especially those she's not close to. I had hoped that our time together would have changed that fact. Our pace slows, the two of us coming to a halt in that all but empty school gardens. Hisao, this is something that... Lily's words are cut as short as I turn and wrap my arms around her, pulling her tight. I may not usually be given such impulsive actions, but I just want to be close to her, even if it's the last time I'll be able to. All the other students have retreated to their dorms and homes. Only the ruffling of the leaves in the breeze makes any sound whatsoever. As I draw back, I can see she dropped her carefully maintained smile. Her hand hesitates, wanting neither to move nor to stay on my features. It's putting up a brave show, but her slight trembling gives her away. Lily may be able to control herself well, but even she can't hold her composure together now. This is the woman I've come to love, but also the one who in all too short time will be leaving the country forever. I'm sorry, Hisao. It's okay. You've got your own life to lead, after all. We walk up the hallway in the girls' dormitory, hand in hand, our emotions by now largely quelled. Nevertheless, our hands grip each other's more tightly than before. It's actually really well timed how Lily can just leave right now. I mean, sure, Hisao's not fully, ready to let Lily go, but he is letting her go, knowing full well that in time he will come to accept it. And, with Hanako, too, she has friends now, and, she's blossoming into a fully sociable young woman, and that's great. We haven't even seen her in a while, and I can't wait to get on her path. If I'm not sure if Beth will be able to join me for that. I won't do it next, but I am saving Hanako's path for the last. Uh, but I'm not sure if Beth will be able to join me in that. Time is a bit strained recently. Faint, muffled voices can be heard from Lily's room, the origins of which aren't difficult to guess. It's Hanako! The moment she opens the door, Hanako bursts through and wraps her arms around Lily, taking her very obviously by surprise. Actually, you know what? This cutscene's going on a little bit longer than I expected. I should have ended it earlier when we left the student council room. But anyway, I'm gonna have to end it here. I know it's a bit awkward end again, but it wouldn't be one of my videos if I didn't get into the story and lose track of time. Now wouldn't it? So anyway, thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos from me or from this series, hit that subscribe button. And you are now exiting the Shadyverse. My name's Shades, and I hope you've enjoyed your day in the shade. See you guys next time.